Good evening, Tallahassee. I am student meteorologist Spencer Blum reporting live from the FSU Weather Studio in the EOAS building on this lovely Monday evening. So right now, looking at Doak Campbell Stadium, we do see a nice sunset over Doak Campbell Stadium with gorgeous temperatures, 84 degrees, sunny conditions with a wind out of the north at 8 miles per hour. As well, our current radar, so what you do see some green on the screen here. However, that is not rain or precipitation. That is just local ground clutter. Could be birds, could be random stuff interfering with the radar, but it's nothing to really look out or worry about. And tonight in Tallahassee, looking at gorgeous conditions, 59 degrees, partly cloudy, with a wind out of the south-southwest at 5 miles per hour. And tomorrow we can expect some scattered clouds and possibly even some scattered storms, 88 degrees, with a wind out of the south at 6 miles per hour. And for tonight's show, we are going to be taking a look at an incoming cold front later in the week to bring some rain. We are going to still talk about tropics as we do have about a month left of hurricane season, and we do have quite a few sports coming up for FSU this week, a lot we're going to be talking about.
Thank you, Spencer. Yeah, we do have a lot to talk about on tonight's show. The main headline is going to be we do have a strong cold front coming in on Wednesday and Thursday, which is going to bring us showers and storms and our coldest temperatures so far this season into the weekend. It could touch into the upper 40s on Friday and Saturday morning. And then another big story is next week we could have even bigger cold front. It could be around 45 degrees. So it's going to be some enjoyable weather. Get out and enjoy it, except for Wednesday and Thursday when we do have our showers and thunderstorms. But now I'm going to pass things off to the wall with Ale.
Thank you so much, Nico. So we're going to be taking a look at Doak Campbell Stadium currently. Nice 84 degrees, nice and sunny with a nice breeze. And look at that beautiful sun, everybody. Just really great conditions to go outside. Great time to maybe take a picnic, especially with these beautiful temperatures, 82 degrees in Tallahassee. A little bit cooler down in Apalachicola where you have that nice breeze from the Gulf, but it's mostly 80s across the board, and it's going to continue to be that way for the most part until we get those showers around midweek. Current dew points, 50 in Tallahassee, quite dry. You can see a little bit of brown coming in ahead of that cold front, as I mentioned, but it's mostly dry throughout the panhandle, definitely dry more inland, and moist right down here in Apalachicola. And with that wind speed, you can see a nice breeze going southwards from the land. It's just really dry conditions, everybody. You don't really see that Gulf breeze coming in, bringing in that typical moisture we see here in Florida. Light breeze, 8 miles per hour, but just nothing really to write home about. Temperature Almanac, 85. We're really sticking in close to our average as usual. Way better than 93. Imagine 93 in October, folks. And 39 in 2000. Imagine that. I wouldn't want to be wearing a scarf this early. Hour by hour, because of those dry conditions, guys, we've been seeing a lot of a big range in diurnal temperatures. So without that moisture, we've been starting off at 53 in the morning, going all the way to 84. That's crazy, folks. Make sure you're dressing in layers. It's typical Florida weather for us, so you guys might not be a stranger to those crazy diurnal temperatures. Satellite and radar showing quite a quiet, afternoon for us, and going into later into the week, just continue with that quiet. Not a lot of rain, not a lot of precipitation, no real threat until once you get into Wednesday and Thursday where we're going to be seeing those thunderstorms. As for the future radar, as I mentioned, you're seeing some cloud scattering, but nothing really crazy. This does stop at Tuesday, so once we have a better idea for Wednesday and Thursday, you're going to be expecting more of those thunderstorms. Tonight's forecast, 60 degrees in Tallahassee, nice and cool. It's going to be relatively cool for most of the panhandle. Tomorrow's local, 88. It's going to be warming up. But folks, looking at the week ahead, it is going to be quite a busy week. 88 on Tuesday, cooling down after that rain we're expecting Wednesday and Thursday, and hopefully just some better weather into next week, some cooler fall weather. Now we're going to pass it off to Spencer.
Thank you, Alejandra. So right now in Florida, we are looking at beautiful conditions across the entire state, looking at Panama City Beach as well as Miami, both not a single cloud in the sky, and as well Tampa and Orlando, both just a little bit of clouds, but gorgeous blue skies. I would love to be outside here, there. It's really pretty across the whole state. And as well, right now we are looking at some temperatures in the mid-80s up into the low 90s in some spots. Looking at 91 in Fort Myers, 84 in Key West, 84 as well here in Tallahassee, and nice cool down a little bit, 77 in Jacksonville. And our dew point. So right now you can see this bit of a tight gradient here. This is a delineation between some more moist conditions more in the more peninsular part of the state. And we do have some drier conditions, as Ali mentioned, as ahead of that cold front in the next few days. We are going to start to be getting some drier and cooler air. So that's what this is showing us, a measure of how much moisture is in the air. Looking at 50 degrees, that's beautiful here in Tallahassee, not too dry, not too moist, and even 41 in Pensacola, wow, and 77 in Key West, so still pretty muggy down there. And right now, satellite and radar across the state, not much in the northern part of the state. However, as we look down more in the southern part of the state, just a few pop-up showers across just south of the I-4 corridor, maybe around the Bartow area, not far from Tampa, maybe Port St. Lucie on the east coast, and just some scattered showers down in Miami. And over the next few days, so ahead of that cold front, we are going to be getting some rain across much of the state and actually the southeast in general. You can see we can actually expect maybe an inch or two of rain possibly across much of the state and a little bit more here in Tallahassee. So the Big Bend region, right where we are, is expected to get hit with some of the most rain in the coming days actually. So if you are in this area, just might want to bring a rain jacket to school, but we will be talking more about this and more of a localized forecast coming up. And for Florida, taking a look more in depth, so looking at temperatures in the mid to upper 80s in Miami, and you can see by Thursday those storms do start to make their way into southern Florida. As well, we're looking at Tampa. It's a bit of a similar story, temperatures in the upper 80s, and those rain chances are going to pick up as we move through the week. And as well in Orlando, again, another similar story. Rain chances around between 40 to 50%, and those do pick up by Thursday. And again, nice hot temperatures in the upper 80s. And Jacksonville, another similar story, although not as much of a rain chance. That will come later in the week as the front does move, but not too much. Nice, a little bit cooler in Jacksonville. And moving on to Pensacola, looking at temperatures up from the low 80s into the mid 80s. And again, those rain chances will increase by Wednesday to Thursday as that cold front does make its way through our area. And for tonight, we can expect temperatures. You can see that delineation from that gradient from that incoming cold front. 59 degrees here in Tallahassee, 79 in Miami. A bit of a difference, as you can see, 72 in Orlando and 59 in Pensacola. We're going to be passing things off to Aaron with a look at our next segment.
Thanks, Spencer. That's right. We had that sharp gradient there from that stationary front that made its way through across the state last week, and that's what brought us some of that reinforcing shot of that cooler air across much of the area. But as we zoom out towards the southeast here, it's actually a fairly seasonal day across many folks across the southeast there. We're seeing generally in the 80s across much of the area. Perhaps actually a little bit cooler as you get towards Montgomery and Atlanta, where that cool front kind of did bring a little bit more dry air and more cooler weather there. But overall, still a pretty seasonal-like day across much of the southeast. And if you look at radar, there's where our stationary front is, just sagged along in central Florida there, so providing a few showers along the Space Coast over towards Polk County and down towards southwest Florida there, where there are a few showers, hit or miss showers there, potentially overnight. This should wind down and dry out across much of the area. But high pressure is dominating across much of the southeast with that counterclockwise, or I should say that clockwise flow around the high pressure, bringing in some of those northerly winds if you go towards the Carolinas, and more of that moisture from the Atlantic, which is why Spencer was mentioning earlier, we have that moisture gradient across the peninsula as opposed to here in the Panhandle. And here's our water vapor. We see, actually, these are some upper level clouds from the outflow boundary, or the outflow of Julia, which is actually in the Pacific Ocean now. And what an outflow boundary is, or I should say what an outflow is from a hurricane, is basically whenever you have air rising up, it has to fan out somewhere, right? So it starts to fan out in the upper parts of what we call the tropopause. And what happens is we'll start seeing those upper level clouds making their way over, and this is the northern half of the storm here. So you might actually see perhaps a nice sunset over in Tampa tonight if you can dodge some of those showers. And for our current dew points, here is that Atlantic moisture making its comeback here across the peninsula of Florida. It's not until you get over towards Montgomery where you actually start seeing more of that bone dry feel there, with Montgomery and over towards Nashville staying in the 30s for the dew point, so very dry there. And perhaps a little bit more muggy as you make your way over towards Louisiana, up towards Arkansas, where there's a little bit more increase in moisture ahead of that frontal boundary that'll be coming in later on in the week. And as for heat indexes, for the most part, correlating to where we see that moisture. So where we see more moisture and go closer to that temperature, we're seeing higher heat indices. And what that's doing is making it feel more warmer outside. So Tampa is in the 90s right now, even though the ambient temperature is probably closer to 80. And then here in Tallahassee, where it's a little bit drier, it feels more like the actual temperature outside. And then especially as you make your way towards, at least towards our northwest, over to Montgomery, Nashville, Huntsville, over in Alabama. So here's that clockwise spin I was mentioning earlier around the high pressure center, somewhere around Tupelo or Jackson. We have that northerly component to the winds there in Tallahassee over towards Charleston. We have that easterly component as you make your way down towards the peninsula of Florida. And then it's not until you get over towards Texas where we have that increasing moisture because we have that advecting moisture coming in from the Gulf of Mexico there, driving up those dew points. So as for future radar, we'll stay fairly dry across much of the southeast, perhaps a few coastal showers as you get towards the Carolinas and into Georgia, and then into Florida, perhaps another extra shower or two. It's not until later week when we start seeing those rain chances start to go up. So for tomorrow's forecast, we're seeing those warmer conditions continue across much of the area, but dry conditions will persist across much of the northern part of the area.
Yeah, so for FSU sports, there's going to be some big games this week. Wednesday, we're going to have women's soccer, big game against Duke. And on Saturday, the biggest game of probably the season is against Clemson here at home. So we've got some exciting games to look forward to. But for right now, taking a live look at the Sportsplex, it's absolutely beautiful. So you folks out there playing IM sports and club sports are going to have a really nice night and really nice conditions to go out and play soccer or flag football. For tonight's Monday Night Football game, Raiders, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs host the Raiders. It's going to be pretty nice, 70 degrees. Light winds from the south at 6 to 9 miles per hour. For the outlook of Kansas, Missouri, it's going to be pretty nice for the next few days, topping off at 80, but then it's going to cool off down to 66 on Thursday. It's going to be pretty nice. Low temperatures in the upper 40s and low 50s. Our women's golf is going to be playing in Springfield, New Jersey. Pretty nice conditions, 68, and light wind, so there won't be too much wind to affect the strokes out there on the green. The outlook for the next few days looks pretty nice, low 70s. Only on Thursday there might be some rain to watch out for, but it's going to be pretty nice conditions to be playing golf. And our men's golf will be playing in Juno Beach, Florida from Tuesday to Wednesday. So the cold front is going to approach that area and bring some showers starting Wednesday and into Thursday. So hopefully that won't affect too much the playing there. But for the first 2 days of the tournament, it's going to be pretty nice conditions with temperatures in the upper 80s and lows in the upper 70s. And our Florida State soccer is going to be playing Duke. Massive game here in Tallahassee Thursday night, 80 degrees. It's going to be really nice conditions for our women's soccer. And for cross country, they're going to be running in Alabama. It's pretty nice, cool conditions early in the morning. It's going to be great conditions for running. And on Saturday, this is the game we've all been waiting for, Florida State versus Clemson. And it's going to be really nice conditions for prime time matchup, 7:30 p.m., 70 degrees. So for us fans out there that are going to go watch the game, it's going to be really nice. And for the players, it's going to be really nice as well. And for taking a look at the week ahead, as you see there on Wednesday, the cold front will come through, bring some showers, but it's going to clear up, and the temperatures will also go down a little bit. Now I'm going to pass it off to Nico for a look at the National.
Thank you, Nicholas. We've got a lot of interesting weather to talk about nationally right now. The main one is going to be the cold front that's going to be coming through the entire country over the next couple days. The same one that's going to hit us is starting all the way out in the Midwest. But currently we got 84 degrees in Tallahassee, 87 degrees in Miami, and then if you get up to the north, it's mild all around the country. That's going to quickly change because our coldest spots right now are actually in the northeast where I see 57 degrees in Boston. Your heat index, however, when it gets humid, it feels warmer than it is. And there's not much of a heat index anywhere in the north, but look at where you have the humidity right now in Miami. It feels like it's 96 degrees. That's almost 100-degree feels like temperature right now. And here's why. Your dew point's here, 75-degree dew point in Miami. In Tallahassee, the dew point is only about 50 degrees. And in the northwest, where you have the big dry marker, your dew point's out in Colorado, only down to 24 degrees. You're not going to have any sort of heat index at all when the dew point is that low. And here's your map of what's going on right now. All the high pressures for the moment is going to keep things dry. However, you can see there's showers along the stationary front here. You have another stationary front here, and then you can see the developing low pressures, which are going to cause the cold front later this week. And here's your upper level water vapor. You got moisture up in the Pacific Northwest. You have a little bit of showers and storms in Texas, which is where some storms are going to start forming along the front as early as tonight. The rest of the country is pretty dry, especially the southeast. There is nothing in the southeast unless you're south of I-4 in Florida, and that's where you have the outflow from Hurricane Julia actually at the moment. And here's your active alerts. You've got flood advisories right now in Texas. You have, I think these are probably freeze watches because there's a very strong cold front going through this area. Not 100% sure, but it would not surprise me if they're going to have a freeze. You've still got a coastal flood advisory in northeastern Florida and then river flood warnings. This is still from Ian because that was really bad flooding that you had. And then you have just marine advisories other than that. So it looks like here's their flood watch. It looks like this is actually not a freeze watch. It is a fire weather warning, which doesn't surprise me either because when you get the cold front to come through, it gets really windy. And if it's dry, like in that part of the country, the cold front's going to come through dry. And wind and dry is not a good combination for fires. And as you can see, there's kind of the fronts trying to develop. You don't have anything where the fire weather watch is, but you have showers and storms over Texas and Oklahoma right now. You have showers and storms in the southwest. You have nothing east of the Mississippi River right now, pretty much, except if you're in South Florida or very coastal parts of New England, like near Boston. And here's a look at your showers and storms in Texas and New Mexico, Arizona. There's nothing severe out of this at the moment. It's just rain and maybe a little bit of thunder, but we'll have to watch this front as it moves east. Out here in the Midwest, you have nothing anywhere here in the Midwest. You have nothing in the Appalachians. It's dry and it's nice. And then zooming in on your southeast, pretty much right south of I-4, the entire state is starting to get showers and storms. And those will actually become more numerous into tomorrow. Now here's a big problem right now. Our drought monitor, most of the country right now is under drought, especially in the Great Plains. You can see it's starting to get into the southeast. We definitely need the rain. We have not had rainfall in Tallahassee since, I believe, September 12th. But tomorrow's forecast is going to be, you can see where the cold front is pretty easily on here. It's going to be in the 80s east of that, and it's going to get down to, or up to 88 in the southeast. But now I'm going to pass things off to Aaron.
Thanks, Nico. That's right. It was certainly a very dry day across much of the area. But as we take a look at the tropics, a little bit more of a moisture-like segment here as we come up on our tropic segment. We have Julia right now that's out and that's actually just entered in the Pacific, and it kept its name because the center of circulation was not disrupted as it passed over Central America, hence why the storm is still Julia. And you can see it spinning right here just off the coast of Guatemala and over towards the southern part of Mexico. And as I was mentioning earlier, we'd have that outflow boundary, or the outflow, I should say, not boundary, that outflow from the hurricane that's actually making its way all the way as far north as the Gulf of Mexico. And it actually can provide for some of those nice cirrus clouds, those ice clouds up in the very top layers of the atmosphere. So perhaps a nice sunset, especially if you're over in Central or South Florida. But overall, here, we're going to continue to see Julia spin just off the coast of Mexico as it progresses off towards the west. Now, we do have a 30% chance of more development as we make our way throughout the next 5 days or so, behind Julia perhaps, as it kind of parallels along the southern coast of Mexico. But back over into the Atlantic Basin, we also have a 20% chance of development from this particular cluster here, which is actually partially from Julia. Anyways, we're going to see this perhaps try and develop something out in the Bay of Campeche, but don't worry, this should, if anything does develop, it should stay pretty weak, as we have, it's not a great atmosphere for much of the Gulf of Mexico for tropical systems, because we'll have that cold front, it's going to come down, and it's going to bring a whole bunch of southwesterly shear up. So no threat as of right now towards the continental United States. But overall, we still have pretty warm waters across much of the Atlantic, and because we're still in October, so remember that, folks. It's actually 4 years ago is when Hurricane Michael made landfall in the Panhandle of Florida. So we still could see some strong storms this season. So don't let your guard down, even though we are starting to approach more of a lull in the Atlantic season. But don't forget that we do have that warmer water still out there. And here's that wind shear I was mentioning earlier. We have that frontal boundary that's actually producing some hostile conditions over for tropical systems for the northern Gulf of Mexico, but over towards Julia, looks like it's a little bit more favorable if you look between about 500 and 850 millibar height, which is, again, the change in direction and wind speed as you move up in height. So perhaps we could see some limited development over with Julia. But future radar, we'll see perhaps something might try and start spinning here over in the Bay of Campeche as the northern part of the vorticity of Julia might perhaps try and form something there, but again, should stay pretty weak as we continue on throughout the next few days. But one thing it will do is dump a whole bunch of rain, perhaps as much as almost 10 inches of rain, almost a foot of rain in some of these, especially in the mountainous areas there in southeastern Mexico, where, of course, we do run the risk of perhaps some landslides in the mountainous terrain. So for our tropical or Atlantic tropical cyclone names, we've already gone through Julia. Carl is next on the list, but at least right now, it's not looking likely we'll see Carl anytime soon. So make sure to keep up to date, though, with the tropics as hurricane season still goes on until November 30th. But now I'll pass things over towards Ale.
Thank you so much, Aaron. It's always great to talk about the tropics. That's super important. But why don't we liven things up a little bit with some nice lifestyle. Beautiful, dry conditions in our area, folks. Look at Panama City, the beautiful sun shining in the sky. Lake Bradford, similar story with that nice, dry weather. Go outside, folks. It's beautiful. Taking a closer look at these closer temperatures, 82 in Tallahassee currently. It's looking like mostly low 80s across the board. Just nothing really too hot. Really great temperatures to go outside, have a picnic, have a great afternoon. Dew points agreeing with this dry weather. 50 degrees in Tallahassee. Definitely moisture down in Apalachicola at 61. But mainly dry ahead of that cold front that we're going to be expecting later into the week. Marine forecast, 88. Really nice day to maybe go out on a boat, take a nice boat ride in the Gulf. And if you're planning on swimming, careful, folks. High rip risk. Make sure you're keeping an eye on that because, you know, that's real dangerous, especially for us folks in Florida. Stargazing forecast. I don't know if y'all caught that beautiful full moon yesterday. But those viewing conditions are going to continue being very nice because we're just really not seeing a lot of clouds in our area. So if you're planning on stargazing, tonight's your night. If you're planning on going to Strozier, bring a jacket. It's always freezing cold in Strozier, so make sure you're ready for that if you are studying for midterms. As for the nightlife forecast, as we mentioned, a lot of sports events going on today. Monday Night Football, if you're planning on going out to a bar and checking out that game, it's a really nice night to go out on the town. 70 degrees, nice breeze, mostly clear. As for your dog walk forecast, definitely a lot of range from 7 a.m. down to 11 a.m., 61 to 73. Look at that, folks. It's really going to be warming up. But it's going to be quite dark in the morning, so maybe wait later to take your dog out. As for delays, cloudy but no delays. It's just that beautiful weather ahead of that cold front, folks. And I believe it's going to be a similar story for the rest of the nation. Just seeing that nice green across the board. Low delays, really no chance for any delays. As for tomorrow's drivecast, very few, just a 10% chance in the morning. It's going to be warming up all the way to 85 by 3 p.m. So if you're planning on taking a long drive, tomorrow's your day to do it. As for the forecast, we're going to start expecting some more scattered showers tomorrow, maybe even some thunderstorms. 88 is going to be nice and warm, really favorable conditions for some convection in the afternoon probably to be generating those thunderstorms. Taking a look at the weekend planner, it's going to get worse before it gets better. You're going to be seeing some rain on Wednesday and Thursday, and you're going to be seeing that nice, beautiful big ball of butter in the sky, the sun on Friday with some lower temperatures down into 57. Now, why don't we pass things off to Nicholas, who's going to talk to us more about our local weather.
Well, that's right, Ale. Here we got that big ball of butter right here. The sun. Taking a look at Doak Campbell Stadium, it looks pretty nice outside right now. Just like we saw in the Sportsplex, it's going to be nice conditions for later on tonight. And now for our current temperatures, everything's hovering about in the low 80s. It's the warmest over here in Sumatra and Crawfordville at 83. And up in Thomasville, it's 81. And for our wind speeds, everything's pretty calm for right now. Here in Tallahassee, we got the strongest wind speed at 8 miles per hour, but overall, things looking pretty nice for most of the Big Bend area. And our current radar shows no rain. This is all backscatter from the radar, but for the moment, there is no threat of any precipitation, or there's no clouds up in the sky right now. And our future radar shows the same trajectory. There's going to be some clouds coming in, but very few, maybe light rain, scattered showers might pop up by Tuesday, but for the time being, there won't be much in terms of precipitation for the Tallahassee area. And for tonight in Tallahassee, it's going to be 59 degrees. It's going to be actually nice, cool weather. Maybe put on a sweater. Light breeze from the south-southwest at 5 miles per hour, but it's going to be very nice, not too chilly. And for tonight's forecast, most of the region is going to be hovering in the upper 50s to low 60s. And for tomorrow's bycast, temperatures are going to be pretty nice in the morning, 65, but then they start to warm up as you go through into the afternoon. It's going to be really, really sunny. It's going to raise the temperatures up to 85 by tomorrow. And for our hour by hour, it's going to start off cool like it was in the bycast. It's going to start off cool in the low 50s and then slowly make its way up into the mid 80s by the afternoon. Not too hot, and it's not going to be too chilly either. And for taking a look for our week ahead, things are going to the temperatures are going to increase slightly as the cold front approaches, but then once the cold front hits on Wednesday and Thursday, there's going to be some rain, and then after that, clear skies for the rest of the week, and cooler temperatures in the morning in the low to mid 50s, and temperatures are going to max out at the lower 80s for the most part. And now we're going to pass it off to Ale and Spencer for our closing desk.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. So that beautiful weather we've been seeing, Spencer, have you been taking advantage of that weather?
Not quite as much as I would like because, unfortunately, we have an atmospheric dynamics midterm on Thursday, so I have been cooped up inside my room for an ungodly amount of time this past weekend, but the little bit of time I have spent outside has been absolutely beautiful. Nice, cool, crisp conditions, a little breezy. What about you, Ale?
Yeah, I've been meaning to. I just got this brand new bumblebee picnic blanket that I'm really planning on putting out on Landis, especially with this nice weather. But, that rain that's coming in Wednesday and Thursday, how are you preparing for that?
Well, I know we could definitely use a little bit of rain here in Tallahassee, but coming from South Florida, a little bit of rain is nothing we're too afraid of. So make sure you guys just have your rain jackets, maybe a poncho if you prefer to wear a poncho. And yeah, you definitely don't want to get caught in those rains running across campus to class. That is the worst because these classrooms are normally pretty cold, and you definitely don't want to be wet in a cold classroom.
I know, it's always the worst when you walk in, your shoes are squeaking on the floor, everybody knows that you were caught, that you did not prepare and pack an umbrella or wear rain boots. So folks, if you're planning on going outside Wednesday and Thursday, make sure you have your prepared bag with a nice little umbrella and you're ready for that weather. Now, why don't we talk a little bit more about our socials? You can follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/FSUweather, or you can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/FSUweather.
As well, you can check us out on Instagram at FSU Weather and on youtube.com at FSU Weather, where you can see any of our past shows, including live coverage of Hurricane Ian, our shows from last Wednesday or 2 years ago. It's totally up to you.
Yeah, there's a great option to see all of our content on all of these platforms. But yeah, so for the rest of the week, make sure you tune into FSU Weather. We're going to keep you on track with all of this weather that's coming up this week. And here's a nice look at our 7-day forecast for you folks.
All right, and thank you guys so much for watching. I am student meteorologist Spencer Blum, reporting live from Tallahassee.
And I'm student meteorologist Alejandra Garcia. Have a great evening, Tallahassee.